Support for that 90s Wrestling podcast has been brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all your below-the-waist grooming needs and get 20% off plus free delivery. And all you have to do is use my code 90s, that's 90s, 90s. Use that at manscaped.com, and like I said before, you get 20% off and also you get free shipping to anywhere around the world. So, thanks for that, and please enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to that 90s Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, James Sunstone. Today I've got a very special guest, one of the biggest stars from the 90s, a former two-time WCW Tag Team Champion and an All Japan Tag Team Champion, the one and only from 3 Mile Island, Mr. Bryan Clark, a.k.a. Adam Bomb. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great. Thanks very much. How's things over there with COVID? You're starting to overcome it now?
Well, I got my first shot.
Cool.
And I get my second one in a couple of weeks, and then hopefully I'll be good to go. Everything seems to be opened up. I mean, the gym, I really haven't missed any gym time. For the most part, it's been. I mean, we had a high spike probably a year ago here in Arizona, but it seems to be getting better. Like I said, get that second shot, then I've got appearances lined up right after that. So
awesome.
Yeah.
We've just last Monday, so a week ago exactly, we've just came out of lockdown, so all the shops is open, and I've finally been able to get like a haircut and things like that. So so glad that everything's starting to go back to normal. So same over here. The majority of the country's had the first shots, but now the most of them's getting the second shots now. So finally the world is getting back on track.
Oh man, yes, it's going to be good. A lot of good stuff, and hopefully I'll get over to the UK, man. Looking forward to that too.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I know we've got one convention in May in Liverpool, but by the sounds of it, there's going to be more and more conventions getting planned and getting brought forward. So we might be seeing you sooner rather than later.
I hope so.
Cool. So I suppose we'll start at the beginning, Brian. So your childhood. So from what I've heard, you've been a fan of wrestling for a long time.
I have, yeah. It started really at a young age. Pro wrestling came through my hometown. I'm from Florida, and they would come through my I lived in up in the state capital in the Panhandle area, and they would come through our hometown, once every few months or so. So as a kid, I got to see some really big stars. I was only probably 8 or 9 years old, but I got to see Andre the Giant, Dusty Rhodes, Buddy Colt, Ox Baker, just a list of classic names and that people still remember to this day.
Cool. And you mentioned him, Ox Baker. He's one of your first running buddies, or your manager, I suppose. So when you became the Night Stalker, so what was it like hanging around with Ox, one of the all-time greats?
Man, I'll give you a little back space here. After I finished high school, I didn't play high school sports, but I did work out. My stepfather got me into weight training at an early age, so I've been pumping the iron and working out. Worked out all, but I didn't play any athletics. From there, I went straight to the military. I come from a military family. My uncle was retired senior master sergeant. My father was Marine Corps. My stepfather was Army. Both of my nephews are Special Forces. Nice. And I served myself. So after my military service was finished with, I walked on. Also, let you know, I was on the Air Force powerlifting team, so that started my weight training and getting my size and stuff. I was on the military powerlifting team. I actually won a tournament in Europe. But when I finished up my commitment in the military, I walked on at Central Missouri State University, and I got a full scholarship. and end up starting as a freshman my first year, and I had never played high school football.
Oh well.
So so I mean, I was super strong. I had great strength and leverage, and it just worked out for me. But I still, in the back of my mind, I always was thinking, man, pro wrestling, and of course in the '80s when I was playing, late '80s when I was playing college football, it was really big.
Yeah.
And so I was just, man, that's all I could think about. Even on the football field, I was thinking about wrestling. It's crazy, but that's really where I just been hooked for a long time, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Night Stalker gimmick. So how did that come about?
Well, I was still in college playing football.
Yeah.
A friend of mine told me that Ox Baker lived, not too far away.
Oh well.
And I was just like, "You got to be kidding me!" I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." I said, "I got to meet him." So he arranged a meeting with us, and I guess he figured out this guy was going to bring in some 5'11", 175-pound guy. And I walked in his door, and I'm 6'6.5", like 315, and he's just like, "Oh my God, big man, where do you?" He just went nuts with that voice. I can't do it any justice, and he was just like, "Oh, we got to get you on the road. Let's go." He was ready to get me going right away, and I'm like, "Man, I haven't had any training or anything." And I love Ox to death, man. He was so funny and great to travel with. But he really didn't teach me ring work. Ox was a brawler. That was his style, but I knew that I had to learn how to wrestle.
Yeah.
And because you're athletic, no matter through the military and through the college football and the powerlifting and all that stuff, that's only going to carry you so far. You've got to be trained the proper way. So after my little stint with Ox there, I moved to Atlanta, and that's where I got trained. Actually, there I was actually trained by Jody Hamilton and Dwayne Bruce. Yeah. So those two are the guys that trained me. It was called the Power Plant, but when I went to it, it was not called the Power Plant. It was just an old rundown warehouse. It was an old carpet warehouse is what it was. But no heat, no air, nothing. Just me getting suplexed out of my boots for a year or so, at least, maybe longer than that, and just paying my dues and working the outlaws and the independents and stuff around the Southeast, and just trying to get my experiences. Working for free, working for a little, working for nothing. It just varied, but that's how you learn, man. You got to pay those dues, and maybe not nowadays. You may not have to, but at least when I was breaking in, that was the route that I had to go. It was hard to get into the business.
Yeah, I've heard that. Like people I've interviewed from your era, like they've all said the same thing. It was so tough to get into it, and when you did, you really did appreciate it. But you had a stint in WCW, but then you moved to Smoky Mountain, and I suppose the question is, what's it like dealing with Jim Cornette? He's quite a character.
Jim was great. What happened? The way that came about is that I worked an independent against Mr. Wonderful. Paul. Yeah. And so Paul put me over to Jim really, really strong and said, "Hey, you got to take a look at this guy. He's improved a lot. He's real athletic." And so Jim says, "Okay, bring him up. Let me look at him." And he brought me up, and Jim hired me. And so I started right away working alongside Kevin Sullivan, who was my manager. But Jim was great. I mean, he was good with helping me with everything from doing promos to my props, just everything, just storytelling and the whole process of it. He was because it was a weekly television show, so I learned a lot, and that locker room was loaded with the locker room was loaded with talent.
Yeah.
So many guys that are legends that I could just sort of just be a sponge and try to gain that knowledge.
What was the any memorable times of when you saw Cornette go off on someone? Because he's well known for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. He, I mean, you got to do it right, man. It make this shit believable. Because if you don't, he's gonna be pissed off about it. And I didn't have any. I've always been the stiff style and laying it in, and so I have any problem with it.
Cool. And you made your way towards WWE, and I suppose we'll have to ask, how did the Adam Bomb gimmick come about? Was it your idea? Was it creative?
Uh, well, I don't know about this. I don't know if they even had what they call creative now, but they did have some artists and some graphics people. And the one guy that really seemed like did most of the work and had the best work was the guy named Tom Fleming, who now
Yes.
works for Marvel Comics.
Oh, cool.
And I'll touch on something real quick. Is that just to give you a scoop here? Is that Tom and I are working together again for the first
wow.
time. Yeah, for the first time since '93. I gave him some of my ideas on some merchandise and stuff, and so he's working on some stuff now that should be debuting real soon. And
Oh,
I
cool.
mean, he was great in '95. He's phenomenal now. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just, you just imagine him if he's doing Batman and Superman and Spider Man. He's. I mean,
Yeah.
he really. I don't know my comics very well, but I know he sent me a sample of what we're working on now, and it was amazing. But yeah, I get. So you want to know how I got to WWE or the creative part or
The creative, because I have heard that it might have been rather the Adam Bomb, or possibly you might have became the ringmaster, if I've got that correct.
yeah okay, so that's exactly okay. So what happened was Tom created Adam Bomb, and
Right.
another of the artists people come up with the ringmaster. So after Smoky Mountain, I got a tryout. They called me up. I tried out with WWE from Smoky to WWE. I tried out. And they said try it out for 2 nights. First night they hired me, and then they said, go home and we'll come up with a gimmick with you. Go ahead and finish out your dates and your commitments, and we'll come up with something for you. And those were the 2 choices. Back then, people have questioned me about it. No, there's no way the ringmaster wasn't the same time. Well, I realized it wasn't the same time, but the deal is they trademarked everything back then.
Yeah.
Everything. And so that was one of their trademarks that they had for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And so I turned it down. And from what I can tell and what I watch is that Steve hated it, the ringmaster.
Yeah, pretty much.
and so I think I made the right choice with Adam Bomb as far as me and my look and my demeanor and size and everything. I think that that character was the right choice for me.
Yeah, and it was I mean, you had a great look, and it was a great gimmick, and it was one of them gimmicks, and like we mentioned, like the outfit and that really stood out, and there was big things planned, and they paired you up with Johnny Polo, which a lot of people now known as Raven. So for me personally, it felt like it was a clash of styles that did not mix well at all. So why was you paired up with Johnny Polo, Raven?
Good question, and I still really do not know why.
Yeah.
It's like you said, nothing against him, nothing against Harvey, who I had later, but they just were not the right fit for me. Adam Bomb being like a nuclear nightmare, basically. And then Polo was like a funny comedian, little spoiled rich kid, and then Harvey was a little scrawny guy. It just didn't make sense.
No.
I mean, I could have either went on my own or somebody different,
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't think either one fit, but that was just the direction that they wanted to go.
Did you do much part in Raven, or did he keep to himself?
Did I what now?
Did you do much partying with Raven, or
No,
did he do his own thing?
I was never really a big party guy.
Oh no,
No, no. Raven, I think he was. I don't
yeah,
know if he is now. I haven't. I see him occasionally. I'm sure he's married and settled down. But yeah, I was not a big. I was always into more of trying to, get my sleep and get the workout in and find a good restaurant and get the show, have a good match, get up. I mean, we were on the road, man. We were on the road for like 280 plus
that's great.
290 with personal appearances, interviews, signings, whatever they had. I mean, they it was a meat grinder.
Yeah.
Schedule was brutal.
Oh yeah, I've heard it. It
Yeah.
really can be bad. But you made your pay-per-view debut at Survivor Series '93, the eight-man tag, and you was paired up with Martel Diesel and IRS taking on Razor, One Two Three Kid, and Macho Man. You was the last member of your team before to get eliminated, so you had quite a strong push during this match. So, what was it like working your first pay-per-view?
I really enjoyed it. It was great. We all had our spots in that match that all made us look strong. It was great having Randy in it
Yeah,
because he's such a legend, and
yeah.
I'd actually get to work with him later on some singles and stuff. But everybody was all business, and I think it was a really good match.
How was Randy to be around with? Like you just mentioned, one of the all-time greats, and you growing up watching him in the '80s, it must have been a dream come true for yourself to wrestle with him. But what was it like to be around with?
Uh, Randy was great, man. I liked him. I liked him a lot. He was always fun. We hung out in Japan when
Oh, cool.
our first trip over there. WWF did their first initial trip to the Japan in like '93 or '4. I'm trying to remember,
Yeah,
but right around there. So yeah, we hung out some there and even stateside. But yeah, he was great, man. I really liked him a lot.
yeah. And during this time, like you was given a pretty good push. Like you kept, squashing jobbers on TV or lower card guys, and it seemed like you was being pushed to like quite a high position. And then at the Royal Rumble, like you was picked to be the number 30, which is one of the main spots in the Rumble. So, how did you feel with this early push you was receiving, and did you feel like that I might be getting a title soon, like with this initial push?
Um, I felt good about it as far as the initial push, um, but it's hard to say because you never really know what they're thinking, which direction they're going, and they definitely do not tell you most of the time. So I felt like I was left in the dark a lot on a lot of things as far as I didn't have a whole lot of communication with Vince. I had some with him,
Yeah.
but mostly with the agents and stuff. And I felt like you feel like you're getting secondhand news kind of thing. So it was hard to tell what exactly what they were going to do or were not going to do.
Who was your favorite agent? Who was your most despised one?
My favorite agent, oh man, um, the Hebner brother.
Oh, Dave.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he was really cool. I always liked him. He was always straight with me. And you said what most despised?
yeah, the one you was like, oh, I just need to get him away from me.
Oh man, I don't know. I wouldn't say really it's just despised, but I just I don't like being lied to, so I'd have to say Briscoe, Strongbow, um, and Lanza I didn't trust.
Yeah.
So, but Rene Goulet, I liked him a lot.
Oh yeah,
He was funny and fun to be around. So yeah, you just had to watch yourself and because they're going to report back to Vince what they want to report. Whether you have a great match or you could have a crappy match, and you know things get twisted. It's just hard. Just the way it
yeah,
goes.
yeah. It's funny you mentioned Goulet. He's actually become a fan favorite of our reviews because his hairstyle stood out so much, and it's
Yeah,
like, oh, Renee's made his appearance, so Renee's actually become a show favorite, so it's nice just to hear a little pop from him.
Oh man,
uh,
he was a funny guy.
yeah.
Always made me laugh.
And the winner of that Rumble was Bret Hart, and I actually just watched it earlier. Your match against Bret Hart on Superstars. It was a great match, and I really enjoyed it. So, how was it working with Bret? I mean, Bret's my favorite wrestler of all time. So, what's
Yeah.
like being in the ring with him and working that style? What he's got?
It was great. I learned a lot. Bret's a great technician. He can really tell a story and put the pieces together. Easy to follow. Bret's a ring general, and at the time I was still coming in and still learning my way. But I enjoyed working with Bret. He was we got along fine and still do.
Yeah,
And he's a great guy. Yep.
good. And we got to WrestleMania X, well, WrestleMania 10, sorry. And like we mentioned, you seem to be getting this big push, but it came to a sudden halt with the Earthquake. And no disrespect to the Earthquake, I love the Earthquake. He's one of my all-time favorites, but he's starting to get a little bit older, and he's making his way out the door. So why was it that he beat you at WrestleMania, where you're the young up-and-coming guy, and should have been you, basically? So what happened?
I really do not know, other than I know that we had worked in Europe and in the
Yeah,
UK like 10 or 12 days prior, had worked every single night, had a great match planned out to debut at the Madison Square Garden for WrestleMania 10. And something happened. I don't know if it was a time restraint issue, which is what I heard one of the things was. Uh, but either way, they just, at first I heard they weren't even going to air the match because they didn't have
right.
time. And then I heard, well, yeah, okay, you're going to go on there and he's going to squash you, and that's it. So, I didn't have much of a choice. It was part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm right to believe. I think the 10-man tag match actually got cut from the show because I think it was Shawn and Razor that actually went long with their ladder match.
Yeah.
So that match did actually get cut, and it was shown the next night on the Raw. Um, well, speaking of Razor Ramon, so I've seen previous interviews you've done, and it sounds like you've never had the best relationship. So what was the relationship like with Razor Ramon?
Um, I would say icy at best.
Yeah,
I just, and I know Goldberg didn't get along with him, and I really didn't get along with him. I just didn't spend much time with him. I don't know. Maybe he's changed. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I know he's had a lot of issues, and so everybody has issues at times. So just wish him the best, and hope things are better. I guess that's most I
yeah.
can say. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he's part of the Kliq, and obviously we know about the political power they had in WWE, and like how much of that did you see backstage? Like, because like I've spoken to the likes of PCO, which because of the Kliq, like he was out the door, and various other wrestlers. So when you saw them go about and changing things on the fly, basically, how did the rest of the locker room feel about it?
Um, I'm sure they were not happy about it.
Mm.
Um, that Vince was so influenced by just two or three people. But that was just I don't know. Maybe that was just he maybe he wanted to be. Maybe he wanted to just listen to those guys. Like I said, it's sort of really hard to tell what goes on behind closed doors when you're not there.
Yeah,
But you know, sometimes you can see through things and just say, okay, I see what's going on. And
yeah,
I did. I knew that me working 280 or 90 days out of the year, being main events with Undertaker, Bret Hart, all these guys, being in 30 or 40 or 50 casket matches, whatever it was. Um, and then me, being on video games, action figures, and the works, and then get home to a paycheck that was a joke
yeah,
because it was. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was supposed to be working for the biggest company in the world, and the money's just not there, and me trying to be married at the time and having a home life, but yet I'm gone so much that I'm gone for 13, 15, 25 days, home for 3 or 4, maybe gone again. It was just like I said, it was a meat grinder. And a lot of guys didn't survive it. A lot of guys passed away. A lot of guys did things just to excess. And then again, you cannot put your body through that much trauma every single night. And it wasn't, it's a different city every night. And then you also had to work out, and you had to eat right, and you had to. That's what I mean about I wasn't a really big partier. Because I was trying to focus on trying to keep myself in shape and train and do all the things. And you use that a 6 a.m. flight going somewhere. So yeah.
Yep. And you mentioned video games, and like, if the rumors are true, like, you was originally meant to be an unlockable character, a secret character in the WrestleMania arcade game, and it didn't come to be. So what happened? Because I don't know if it's true, in fact, you've actually filmed some scenes with it, unless I've got it wrong, but apparently that was the rumor.
No, I never filmed anything with them.
Oh, right.
No. They, matter of fact, I have here in my office, I have a Legends contract that I've had here for 3 years that I've never signed.
All right. Fair enough.
So no. I recently purchased the trademarks for Atom Bomb, Kronik, and Wrath.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, all my new merchandise and all my new stuff has been a creative process of all of my ideas. I had a designer work with me, but they were all my initial sketches and design, all my designs and ideas. And then we'll get to the companies and stuff that are carrying the stuff. But they,
and you mentioned being on the road, so and you mentioned earlier how much you love the UK. So, being on these European tours, how much fun did you have being on these European tours, and what's your favorite memory from the UK?
Oh man, a lot. When I was in the military, I was stationed in Belgium, and I lived in Belgium. And I lived in Belgium for a year, so I was on the trains every break that I got. And I was going all over Germany and everywhere. Favorite memory from UK would have to be the Royal Albert Hall. Working there, man. It's just like it's like a magical place, It's not real big, but it's just all the history, man. It just was it was cool.
Awesome. Yeah. And another thing that was cool, you turning babyface, and I think you've said previous you felt so much more comfortable being a babyface, and obviously you had the foam football bombs, which everyone loves. And
I got one back there somewhere.
Yeah, apparently they're fetching quite a bit on their eBay now. I think some of them fetching like $1,500.
I just came out with a big line of the goggles, so they're on eBay now. But we'll touch on that.
Oh, nice. But
those.
So how did you feel turning babyface?
I liked it. It's just my character, man. I've just always been real fan friendly and interactive and stuff. I'm a little behind as far as I just joined Twitter not even a month ago. So I'm just getting that started, but I've been on Facebook for a long time. It's just real fan friendly. And I like to talk to the fans. I enjoy it. I enjoy going to conventions, autograph signings. I've got May 15th, I'm in Baltimore. June 2nd, I'm in New York City. May 22nd, I'm in Atlanta. So, things are picking back up, but I like that. It's enjoyable, and the fans get to, you get to see how appreciative they are to meet you and to get to take photos and stuff. And so it's a good experience.
Yeah, it's good. And I think like wrestling fans, I don't think there's any set of fans that comes close to wrestling fans, because wrestling fans are so
the wrestling
loyal.
Fans are the best. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. No other fans compete with wrestling fans, man. They can end up getting a bad pay-per-view, a bad Monday Nitro, a bad Monday Night Raw, some crap that shouldn't even be on TV, but
Yeah.
yet they still come back, because
Yeah.
they love it, man. And so you got to give credit to the wrestling fans. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the most the fun guy in the locker room, I suppose you could say, Owen Hart. And I don't think anyone's got a bad word to say about him, but Owen Hart's always known for his ribs. So was you a victim of any of his ribs?
Uh, a little bit, not real, but not real bad though. But a little bit, like when we worked together. I worked Owen a few times, and like we would do something where like he would do a drop toe hold on me or something, get me down, and have me on the ground, and he'd start untying my shoelaces in the middle, my boot laces in the middle of the match, and then he later on he would end up taking me down again, and we would be back in another hold or something, and I'd be damned if he hadn't got the other one late. So I'm working the match, and my boots are half unlaced, man. Just crap like that. That was harmless rib, but it was still just like, man, you just never take a break, do you? You are always. He was. I mean, oh god, and then the stuff with him and Davey going at it. That was just worth the admission of just listening to that crap go on. It was. It would be time to check out out of the hotel the next morning, and they're just 6 a.m. They're going at it,
Yeah.
And so it was really funny. Yeah.
Was you ever a victim of Owen and Davies hotel prank calls during the night? Because they're well known for it.
No, but I'll tell you who got in on that was my partner Brian Adams.
Yeah,
Later
Chris.
later on, but Brian would call, and it was sort of a rib on Brian too because he had to wake up and make the call. But like every hour or so, he would call Davy's room, and he would just sit there. He wouldn't say anything and listen. And Davy, I can't do the British accent, but Davy would be like, "Who is this calling? You fucking Owen? Is this you calling?" And Brian wouldn't say anything. I know it's you. I know it's you, Owen. And Brian, and then you hang up. And so by the time it was time to check out in the morning, Davy's pissed. He got no sleep because Brian, and he thinks it's Owen. Owen's like, I didn't call you last night. You see? So yeah, stuff like that, man, all the time.
Yeah, and I mean they were so beloved and they're so missed. So it's sad to see him go. But and Crush, I was a big fan of Crush as well. So
Oh my god, yeah, loved it.
seeing all these guys go, but it's always great to hear these fun stories of them. It really is. And eventually, you made your departure from WWE, and from what I've heard, so there was a mix-up. It was creative. Like I think it all started with them saying, lose about to Mabel, which you didn't mind because whatever they told you, you would do. But they promised you an IC title run, which was a bare-faced lie. So give us the details. What led to that story and led to your departure?
Yeah, it's pretty much what you just said. That and the combination of Vince was going through his big steroid trial at the time.
Yeah.
He was working us to death, like the 280 or 90 shows I was telling you about. The money when I got home was not there. Them having me put Mabel over, which I had no problem with. That's business. I would have done it just like I did with Earthquake. No big deal. It's his job. But then to say, okay, hey Mabel, we're putting King of the Ring on you, but then Brian, we're doing this with you, and I'm like, that's good. That'll help me. First of all, it'll help me with some more money in my pocket, and then because it'll push up the card, and it probably would help the character and a few other things. But it didn't happen, and it just seemed I started from that point. It seemed like I just started going down, 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 and I'm just like, this is not a good situation for me. And then I just don't like being lied to. Who does? But they should have just not even said anything. It would have been the same. I don't know. But when that happened, and again the pay and the schedule, and I knew I had a job with Eric Bischoff in WCW, and because I lived in Atlanta, I was there for 12 years.
That's right.
So yeah, so he even told me, he says, when you're done there, he says, you call me because you got a job. And I was just like, that's great. And, so as soon as my contract was up. That's where I went.
Cool. And I don't want you going to financial details, but what was the pay structure in WCW compared to WE? Because everyone used to call Eric ATM Eric, so was there a significant difference?
Very significant. And the thing is that for the first time, as hard as I was working, I felt rewarded.
Yeah.
Pay wise, I mean, it was probably easily 5 times what Vince was paying me again.
Oh wow!
And the reason you say, oh wow, but if you realize you wouldn't believe how low the Vince scale was. You'd be shocked. And you got to remember, Vince, we were 4 to a car, 3 to a room, paying for our own hotel, own car, own food, everything. So then you're really taking home nothing.
Yeah.
Where in Atlanta, I just felt like I was just treated so much better money, no more crunch. I'm 6'6.5", no more crunching in coach. I was actually had a first class seat finally. I wasn't miserable when I got off the plane. Just the whole everything was so much better.
Yeah.
Everything was better.
Yeah. And you became Wrath. So how did that come about? So it was a similar attire, I suppose you could say, to your Adam Bomb look, but with a darker twist, I suppose you could say. And you was involved in the Blood Runs Code storyline, which was based on Mortal Kombat, which you was in Mortal Kombat Conquest. So
that's right.
So I mean, we'll start off with Mortal Kombat Conquest because I'm a massive MK fan. So what was it like being in a TV show and then doing this storyline WCW?
It was really cool. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of work, but yeah, it was fun. Actually, I think they're going to have me back for another episode, and a few other things happened, and I was on the road and stuff. The first part of Blood Runs Cold, they tried with all 4 of the guys, and it just was brought. It was coming up at the same time as the NWO was coming in. Yeah. And so it just got watered down, and that just sort of took over everything. So that's why it really never got any legs and up and running. But so that initial, if you remember the first Wrath, he had the helmet and the big outfit and everything. So I had approached Eric, and I said, Eric, would you mind, let me try Wrath, because I came up with that name. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. Yeah. And I asked him, I said, can I do Wrath? Sort of like my version of it. And he said, yeah, do it, and I'll take a look at it. And so what I did was I sort of merged Atom Bomb and Wrath a little bit. If you look at the outfit and the singlet and everything, and some of the colors, and then I came up with that finish called the Meltdown, where I had the guy pick him up with a full slam. And so I came out the first night and I did that, and it just started picking up steam, and I ran through opponents for, I don't know, 7-8 months, man. I went undefeated and was on a crash course with Bill Goldberg. That's what the plans were.
That's right. And one person I do want to speak about and doesn't really get as much love as I think. He portrayed Mortis during that time, Chris Kanyon, and sadly he's passed away since. So what was Kanyon like during his days? Because he was quite an innovator of like moves and finishes. So what was he like to be around with?
I didn't really travel with Chris that much. Chris traveled with the manager, Vandenberg.
Yeah, since
So they traveled together because Chris could be very moody. Right. And so I just like to be just when I'm not in the ring, and I don't need any more stress. I don't need any more yap. And so Chris was a great worker, a great bumper. If anything, he bumped too much, But we got along fine. But again, we didn't really travel together. But ring work and working the matches and stuff, all that was fine.
Cool. And we mentioned your streak, and you was on a hell of a streak, and then it looked like it was programmed to be against Goldberg, but then I think the outsiders got into it, the politics, Kevin Nash in particular. So why did this big match go? I think you eventually did wrestle Goldberg, but it wasn't the straight match we was hoping. So what
Yeah.
happened with the politics during this time?
I'm not. Again, it's one of those things where I wasn't in on the booking meetings, so I'm not quite sure who was the booker at the time and how it happened. I'm not sure. But he ended up beating me, and then he also beat Bill and beat both streaks.
That's
So
right.
I'm not sure how that played out or what they were thinking. Maybe they were thinking something else long term. I don't know. But after that, then they sort of put me back on another winning streak a little bit, but it just didn't have quite the
Yeah.
same feel. And then I got injured. Um, I tore my ACL one night, and I was out for about 7 or 8 months. And I was actually supposed to go over and film the movie Gladiator
Oh wow.
for 18 weeks in Morocco. Then of course torn ACL. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So so I missed out on that, unfortunately. But yeah, so I just had to get it healed up. And then about that time, once I was healed up and ready to come back, the formation of Kronik came together.
Cool. And whose idea was that? Was that Brian Adams giving you a phone call, or was that
Yeah,
creative?
yes, yeah. Brian called me. Um, the first time he called me, I said, I think I'm just going to do Wrath and come back with that once I heal up and do that. And then he was a little more persistent and called me again. And the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, this might be something. Let's give it a shot. And then so we did like a little poll with some fans or something, and they come up with a bunch of different names, and that's the one we chose because it had a dual meaning, Kronik, and we did a spin on the K, so it was Kronik.
That's right.
And Brian and I were very similar. So both 6'6", both former military, both 290, 300 pounds, both could do, just about everything. I would do the high flying stuff off the top, over the top, slingshot, apron, the works, I would do all that stuff. And our chemistry, man, in the ring, out of the ring, on the road, the best.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we clicked right away and we got over super fast. I think that WCW needed a killer tag team that would just steamroll everybody, and we were it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned being on the road and clicking, getting along with him. So I can imagine there was a few fun car journeys between you and Brian.
Oh yeah, man. He was so funny. People don't really realize how funny he was, but he could have the locker room just on the floor laughing, man. He was hilarious. And then when me being in the car with him and stuff, he would have me laughing so hard, man. Just just some of his. He could do great impersonations. I mean, he could impersonate Vince to a T.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He could do Scott Norton. He could do a lot of people, man. And so he always kept me in a good mood. Always kept me laughing.
Awesome. And like you said, you got over. It was hard not to get over two big giants, just kicking ass. And you defeated the War and Shane Douglas to become WCW Tag Team titles. And I suppose this was your first major title in a major wrestling company. So what was it like becoming Tag Team Champion with your best friends?
Oh, it was great. It was great. To finally be acknowledged. We would go on to win it another time. So as the two-time champion, that was another marker. As far as we were going, and it just solidified Brian's dedication, my dedication, and our work ethic and our commitment to the gimmick, whether we were injured, and there were plenty of times when we were injured. As a matter of fact, the second time I was injured, the second title championship match, I had hurt my back, and I was laying laying in the floor in the corner of the locker room for like 6 hours. I couldn't even move.
Oh, wow.
And they were going to cancel the match, and I was like, "No way, you're not canceling this match." I said, "I'm not letting Bryan down. We're winning the straps tonight." I said, so I taped it up and braced it up as best I could, man. And I went out there and I did everything, off the top rope. I did it all. But I took some pain pills too to get through it, which I didn't like, but I didn't want to blow that opportunity either.
Yeah. And this was around about the time Vince Russo took charge of creative. So what was your dealings like with Vince Russo?
Very good. I just did a podcast with him about a week ago.
Cool.
We just picked up from where we left off, man. He did the first interview magazine. He was a writer for the magazine in '93 or '94 that time. He did a big layout on me of Adam Bomb. And we got along great. And we hadn't seen each other in a long time. And we still got along. And then just seeing him again on the podcast, I mean, just great. I mean, we got along fine. And he knew he had a great tag team with, a big powerhouse that couldn't be stopped.
Yeah.
So that tag team part was taken care of, you know what I mean? And so I think that was a relief. At least on his behalf, is thinking I don't have to worry about the tag team division, at least not with these two guys.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy. I like him.
Yeah, I've just released my interview with him, and same as what you just said, great guy, and I think he's misunderstood. He gets a lot of hate for no reason. But every time I've interacted with him online, it's always been good, and interviewed him, and nice as could be. So I'm glad you had a similar sort of experience. But during 1 year later injuries, WCW went bust and it got purchased by WWE. So when that news broke, how did you feel?
I was disappointed. Some people, the younger guys, were probably the guys who had just been in the business a couple of years, or at least in the company for a couple of years. They probably thought, hey, this is good. I got a chance to go to New York. Well, I had already been there. I know what it was like. And Bryan had already been there. So Bryan left Vince. I left Vince. So I knew that there was a sort of an uneasy feeling of when we went back, you know what I mean? I actually even told Bryan that I wanted it for us to go to Japan versus going to WWE. But I sort of gave in because Bryan and Taker were friends also.
That's
and so they decided to bring us in and work that angle. But it was a bad idea in the fact that all the four guys were not healthy. And what I mean by that is that Kane had a staph infection. Taker had, I think, a shoulder injury. I had my neck injury, and then I think Bryan may have had a bad back. I'm not sure. Just a combination of all the years, And they wanted to rush everything, which was a mistake. They just sort of threw it together. We only had a couple of matches, a couple of squash matches on TV, and I just said, why don't you put us on the road for a couple of weeks and let us get the feel and get the chemistry and get everything going. And they were like, no, we're going to do this, and then we're doing the pay-per-view. And I was it just didn't make any sense. I sort of felt like they brought us up there just to knock us off and then let us go. Because the way it was handled, it could have been done so much differently. But we would end up at the top of the mountain in all Japan.
Right.
So that was, for me, there was nothing better than that, because I was a huge Stan Hansen fan.
Yeah.
Still am, one of my all-time favorites. And he actually, the night we won the titles in Osaka, he actually presented the belts to me and Bryan. which
Oh
was
wow.
a massive honor. I was just like, wow, man, this is, and the ribbons flying in and the chants, and the whole building. It was just, it was amazing. One of the best,
Awesome.
top of the top of the mountain, no doubt.
Cool. And a few years after, you and Chris retired, and I know we've mentioned like during our chat you struggled with addiction, and I can understand why, because doing the miles and the roads and all them days, like people has had to rely on painkillers to get through it, and I can't even imagine like the amount of pain you've gone through all these years. So,
Yeah.
what was it like with this addiction and finally conquering it?
Well, to start with, my attorney, Robert Jarvis, and I denied some charges that were brought against me, uh, and they're all being dropped. They were based on ludicrous information, and it was just opinions which were just simply false.
Yeah,
They've all been proved false, and so that was a big. When it happened, it was a lot of negative publicity at first, and then but once it all got sorted out, and I knew that, I knew what I didn't do, and
yeah,
so again, like I said, they wouldn't be dropped or being dropped if there was a reason to keep them.
yeah,
But still, if there was a dark cloud, I felt like over me, and finally it had passed. And I've been over 2 years now,
oh, cool.
opiate free.
Well, that's
Yeah,
great.
not a single pain pill, nothing. I have a strict routine now of the 5 a.m. hot tub, the get ready for the gym, 7:30. Get my workout in, do my cardio, my stretching, do the steam or the sauna, and it's just a process of taking care of my body now. But um, what I learned from all that is that that news was pretty upsetting to me to see it, on some of the wrestling sites and stuff, and all these accusations that were they just didn't understand. Didn't have a chance to even to defend myself.
Yeah,
But again, like I said, now that they're being dropped, I feel so much better about it.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but the thing is that I learned is like, I've had 13 surgeries,
Right.
um, and so I did had um, started an addiction to the opiates, to the pain
Yeah.
pills. And there's no denying that. And I'll tell you straight 100% that as much as I hated it, and I hated being on them. My wife is a director of nursing, and I told her so many years, I hate taking these things. But I was in so much pain, and it was always one surgery after another. I've had my knee replaced, the neck, the back, the shoulder, the elbow, the 4 knee surgery. It just goes on and on.
Yeah.
Um, but now I'm training better than ever. I feel better than ever. The clarity in my head is just. I mean, I've come up with all this merchandise and stuff, and all the
Yeah.
stuff I'm doing. Um, but to beat it, it was very difficult. And the reason being is that you just those first like 14, 15 days, man, I was sick. I mean, I was
Yeah.
so sick. Yeah, I was tired, lethargic, nauseous, vomiting, just no energy. I mean, I could just barely get off the couch and turn the TV channel or drag myself to the shower. I just felt so bad. I just felt horrible. Um, and I knew that I was just like, I just got to keep fighting, man. It was my whole, just from being in the military and just pulling in from all those things that I've been through, the military and the college football and all the powerlifting and all those strengths that I just pulled. There's no way a pill is going to control me. And
Mhm.
I just said, that's it. And I went cold turkey. I
Yeah.
mean, I stopped the day that news hit. I quit the next morning. I said, that's it. I was so upset about it, and pissed off, honestly, because I felt like I didn't have it. I was accused, but yet no one let me tell my side of the story or hear any of it. And of course, it's all dropped, and so it was unfair. I felt, but again, but going through that process of beating it is, the first 7 days were hell, no sleep. 14 days, no sleep. I mean, I got 30 minutes here, 15 minutes there. I mean, it was miserable. But then I got to day 18, to day 21, to day 30, and then it just kept going, and I kept feeling better and better and better. And man, here it is, over 2 years later. I've had 3 surgeries since then, not a single pain pill for any of those surgeries.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll never do it again. And people ask me, they will say, well, how do you know? How can you say never? And I can say, well, all I got to do is think back to day 7, and how bad I felt, and that'll do it. That's all it takes. But I don't even have a craving for it. I don't think about it. It's in my rearview mirror, and I just, like I said, it's something that can be beaten. You just have to get a grip, face it. It's hard. It's going to be hard. You need to know that going in. I don't advise going cold turkey. The fact that my wife is a nurse and I had someone watching me the whole time. So if someone needs to go to counseling, they should definitely do that. If they need, however they need to go about doing it, whatever the safest route is for them, because everybody's situation is different.
Yeah.
I just sort of, like I said, I got addicted to them just over the wear and tear and the wearing down of my body.
Yeah.
But again, I'm so glad that they're gone, and that I know that I don't need them. And the doctors will keep prescribing you and telling you, oh, you need it. I didn't need it, but I needed to do it my way. So yeah, I don't want to come off like I'm preaching and to tell the fans or any person in general that's going through this is that they can beat it. It can be beaten. Don't think that that's the end of the line, and that there's no way out, because there is. And I've said before, the grass is greener, man, on the other side.
Yeah.
That cloud, hey, the sun will rise again. Stole that from Tom Hanks, by the way. remember Castaway?
Yeah.
I don't know if you do or not, but anyway. I just feel 100 times better. I've designed and developed all of this. My office is the Mad Scientist's room here. I have developed and designed all this new merchandise. I've got almost 15 pieces of merchandise out with pro wrestling tees.
Yep.
And with Wrestle Merch Central in the UK,
that's right,
I have like 2 pages of all the merchandise that I have designed and developed. All that, you just got to check it out, man. It's really cool stuff. It's not just retro stuff. It's very modern. I've even got some artwork on there. And then we still have the big debut of Tom Fleming's piece coming in.
Yeah.
So it's all good. And I'm talking to 2 different action figure companies right now that want to do a Legends series of possibly Atom Bomb and possibly Kronik and Wrath. So it's all good, man.
It's looking good.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Bryan, so we know you're a fan-friendly individual, and you've seen the post. We went to Twitter for a few fan questions. So before we sign off, we'll ask you some questions.
So they know to find me at at Real Bryan Clark on Twitter, right?
That's
And
right.
then Facebook, Bryan Clark. I'm going to go ahead and get this in there. And then my eBay store is Bryan Clark Atom Bomb Dash Kronik. And that's being updated with a lot of stuff. I get so many requests now that I'm on both of these sites for autograph pictures and stuff. And so I'm just putting everything up there: classics, ring worn gear, stuff that collectors have been that have been looking for or may want. And it's just an easy way for them to find it. So have them check those sites out, and go ahead and hit me with the questions.
Cool. So the first one we had was from UTT podcast, and he asked, "What was it like being part of World Wrestling All Stars?"
World Wrestling All Stars, was that the company that worked between after WCW folded?
I think World Wrestling All Stars is that the UK one. I think you might be talking about.
I remember
Unless
I worked for Hammerlock. I remember
might be
that.
that. Yeah, it might be that one. Yeah.
If it was Hammerlock, I had a blast. I remember going over to the UK after leaving WWF and working Hammerlock. It maybe that was their other name. I'm not sure. But Hammerlock was a blast. I mean, if it's any association or the same style as that, I had a really good time. And like I said, I got that store in the UK, man. I plan on coming over a lot because I love it.
We can't wait. Cool. At official FAF asked if you could work with any of the big men from today, who would it be and why?
Wow. Man, I really like Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
And I've heard that I am the Drew McIntyre 2.0, or in my case, the 3.0 at my age. But him, I really like Cesaro. Let's see. There's a few guys that would be. I think if I was back in my prime and they were in their prime and that kind of thing, we would have some good matches. But yeah, I'm just really impressed with Drew's work and how he has
Awesome.
made a comeback. Yeah.
Awesome. And for Demo God 1 asked, how pissed off was Diesel and Shawn Michaels when they found out Bam Bam and LT was main event in WrestleMania 11?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I don't know that answer. Who knows? I mean, I think that they were pushing LT because it was in the Meadowlands in New Jersey, and Bigelow was from New Jersey, so I'm guessing that's why that was the top spot. But again, I'm not sure. That's
right.
That's just a guess.
No problem. And for wrestling, G10 wants to know. He generally wants to know if you thought the Adam Bomb character was going to go big places, and because he said you had the look.
Yeah, definitely. At times, I really thought it was really trending upward, but just like I said, going back to that schedule and that grind and what I put my body through, I even had I didn't tell you I had a shoulder surgery there, and I had to ask for time off just for that. I mean, I couldn't even raise my arm, but yet I still had to go in and ask for time off. And they go like, "We need you back right away." And I'm just, first they weren't even gonna let me go to do it, and I was just like, I can't even raise my arm. And so they let me go, had the surgery, and I fought like crazy to get back. And I was back in 6 weeks, and I was supposed to be out 10, and they still didn't appreciate it. I was just, stuff like that just accumulates, and you're just like, maybe this is not the right place. You know?
Good. And at GG on Wrestling asked, what was your proudest moment in your career? I've got an idea what it will be.
Absolutely, the All Japan titles with Brian Adams. Just like I said, I always wanted to go to Japan on a regular basis, but I ended up in the States for most of my career. And no better way to close out your career than to win the All Japan titles, have Stan Hansen, one of your heroes, present the belt to you. I just don't know how, what else could be better than that.
Yeah. How much do you miss Crush? I can imagine it was a big loss when you heard the
Uh,
news.
it was devastating.
Yeah.
My office is so many. There's so much stuff around here. Pictures of me and him together all over my office. Yeah, I mean, I think about him, and every day it seems like, and it's a big loss, no doubt.
Yeah.
I was really devastated. Really, I mean, he'd grown so close and tight. Even after we finished up in Japan, we talk every week.
Yeah.
And we just good buddies, and it's just tough. It's a tough loss.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites. Like, I loved the Kona Crush gimmick when he
Oh,
was
I did too.
babyface of wine. I loved it.
Yeah.
Good. And the final question for myself. So I always like to hear a fun road story. So what's your funniest road story? And if it's one with Crush, even better.
Oh man. God, Bryan, there's so many. Bryan can make me laugh just about on anything he was talking about.
Yeah.
God, I'm trying to think of just one particular one. I may have told this in a previous podcast, and I just because there's only reason I can't think of something right off the top of my head. But Bryan was a one-upper. He would have to, like, if you would tell me, "Hey, I just won $5,000 in the lottery," but Bryan would say, "That's great, but I just won 50." You know what I mean? Just one up whatever you did. And we were on the road in Montana, of all places, and I happened to be looking out. Because Bryan did all the driving; he loved to drive, so I let him drive, and I kicked back, which is great. But he'd tell the story. I was on the phone with my wife at the time, and I happened to, I think it was a deer or a couple of little deer or something. And I'd spotted them off the side of the road, And so Bryan's on the phone with his wife at the same time.
Yeah.
And, he heard me say that, right? And so he's like, "Oh, honey, you're not going to believe this. There's a grizzly bear over here. He just caught it. He was just eating a salmon in the stream or something, some shit." I was just like, "Man, are you kidding me?" Just crazy little stuff like that, man. He always had the one up, and he you couldn't top him. I never even tried. I would just sit back and enjoy the laugh, because I mean, when he got on a roll, he was unstoppable.
Yeah, and he very sadly missed. Like I said, he was one of my favorites. So I would love to have had the opportunity to speak to him, and he's one of my favorites of all time. But Bryan, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. But before we do sign off, tell everyone again where they can find you and where your eBay store is.
Sure. Again, I'm at Real Bryan Clark. That's Bryan Clark on Twitter, and Facebook is Bryan Clark. And I'm in the process of opening a store on Facebook also. But I am with PWTs in the U.S., and I have a big selection there, up to 15 different shirts of all new stuff that I have. Like I said, that I personally, every bit of it is my creative. I had an art person help put together and paint and do the right colors and sizing and stuff, but they were all my original designs. I have Wrestle Merch Central in the UK, Europe. Yep. They've even got a bomber jacket, an Atom Bomb bomber jacket. Yeah, it's awesome. And I designed, that was my baby. That was my first design that I did. And they made it. I was just like, yes. So they got like I said, 2 pages of amazing stuff. So those are the 2 places you can get merch. But I'm also right now, it's on my eBay store is it's going to be Bryan Clark, and then it's Atom Bomb, one word. So Atom Bomb dash Kronik, Kronik. And like I said, that's going to be all my new 8x10s and all my new designs and stuff, ring worn gear, one of a kind stuff, some classic stuff like that. The WWF, WWF Japan. I had the original program from that, which I don't know if anybody's got them. They had to be on the tour, so there's only a handful out there. Same thing with a lot of the UK German tours, stuff with Undertaker, just a lot of stuff that collectors and fans will both really like to see. So I'll be working on that and getting all that stuff up. And the goggles are out there, man. I sold out of the first batch right away, so I reordered, and I got another shipment in. But I'm doing some custom work on those so that they look like just like the original, and I will sign them and autograph them any way you want. So so check them out. I mean, I think they'll be really happy, especially with all the different designs. And the thing is, it's not just the design, but you can pick any color of a shirt you want. So it's just really you can just about develop what you want. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and I want to thank you so much for giving me your time. And hopefully you'll be over in the UK soon. We can do this in person next time.
Yes, I really hope so, man. I've been waiting. Got a special guest I want you to meet before we depart.
Oh, please.
I plan on getting over to the UK. Like I said, nothing but great memories over there. The fans were the best, man. We sold out every night, and they were just amazing. So all over the UK, Europe, and everywhere was fantastic. Okay, you bring the guest in now. All right, here we go. All right, come here, baby. Okay.
Oh, there she is.
Yes, my girl. Come on.
How old is she?
She is. Oh, come here. She's 1 year old.
Wow.
1 year old. Just turned 1 year old. Her name is Skylar.
Yeah.
And she is a Scottish Sheltie.
Nice.
And she's been a great COVID baby. You know, she's just been amazing to have. Look at her just waking up. But she's been so much fun, man. Especially during this time where we were down. Just been a blessing. We lost our other one we had, and she was 15. We lost her about a year and a half ago. And she passed away. And so we had to wait a little while to grieve before we got this little baby. But she's been a blast, man. So I just wanted to share her. I wanted to share her for a second. Okay, baby.
Don't forget her some custom goggles made.
I got some.
All right.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm a step ahead of you, man. And she doesn't mind wearing them. That's the crazy thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
Cool. Well, like I said before, Bryan, thanks very much for your time, and hopefully we'll be doing this again real soon. Hopefully it'll be in person.
Absolutely, you got it, man.
Thanks for checking out this interview. Hope you enjoyed it. As for an announcement for next week's guest, so we've got one of the fastest rising stars in professional wrestling over in Ring of Honor, one and only, the infinite Eli Isom. Great chat to Eli, great guy. Talked about his big matches up against the likes of Shane Taylor, Christopher Daniels and so on. And what the Ring of Honor system's like, what's it like training that Ring of Honor. And and also some fun road stories and ribs with the likes of Cheeseburger and such. So some real fun stories and a great chat and a great guy, and definitely a guy you need to keep your eye out for in the future because he's going to be a big star. So hopefully you can come in and check him for that one. And as for everyone who's checked out this interview, thanks again for your support. I hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube recently, and that was a big target for mine, so I want to say thank you to everyone who's got us there, and hopefully next target we'll try and hit 2,000 subscribers. But please leave us a like, subscribe and share, and tell your friends, rather on YouTube, all on podcasting platforms. And it really does help the channel out. And if you do want to help the channel out, if you want to head over to manscaped.com and use my code 90s, that's 90s, you can get 20% off and free shipping, and yeah, it makes a great gift for yourself or a great gift for your partner, and makes yourself look nice and clean, I would say. So thanks again everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.